All right. Well, welcome back. This video, I will say, will be just a little bit longer than the last one. Board account method's pretty easy. Not to say the plurality with elimination, which is what we're going to be talking about right now, is more difficult. It just takes a little bit more explanation because you probably haven't seen it before. So, plurality with elimination method. Basically, when there are three or more candidates running, so this is not for when there's two candidates, three or more, it's often the case that no candidate's going to receive a majority. We talked about that when we talked about plurality. Typically, the candidate or candidates with the fewest first place votes are then eliminated. Think of that as like the primary elections that we have in our current election system in the United States. And then a runoff election is held. Since runoff elections are expensive to both candidates and municipality, this is an inefficient and cumbersome method for choosing a mayor or even a county supervisor. So a much more efficient way is to implement the same process without needing separate runoff elections. And we'll do that using preference ballots, since a preference ballot tells us not only which candidate the voter wants to win, but also what they would choose in a runoff between any pair of candidates. The idea is simple but very powerful. From the original preference schedule for the election, we can then eliminate candidates with the fewest first place votes one at a time until we get one that actually has a majority. So, this method has become increasingly popular, nowadays fashionably known as instant running vote off, or IRV. Other names that are used in the past in other countries include the plurality with elimination and Hare method. We're going to call it plurality with elimination as opposed to the other kind of names for it, just because it kind of describes the best what it does. So, in round one, we're going to count all the first place votes for each candidate, just as you would in a normal plurality method. If a candidate has a majority of first place votes, then that candidate is the winner, done. Otherwise, we're going to take away the candidate or the candidates if there's a tie with the fewest first place votes. Round two, we cross out the names of the candidates eliminated from our preference schedule. We're now going to recount the first place votes. Remember that when a candidate's eliminated from our preference schedule, in each column, the candidates below it all move up one spot. So if a candidate has a majority of first place votes, then we'll declare that candidate the winner. Otherwise, we continue by eliminating the next candidate with the fewest first place votes. And then in round 3 and 4, we continue this process as many times as we need to until we finally end up with a candidate with a majority of first place votes. And then that candidate will be the winner of our election. So let's see how this works with our math club election. So on the following slide, we're going to see our preference schedule again. It's the original preference schedule for the election first shown in table 1.1. So again, here's that same preference schedule that we ended up with after we counted up all those preference ballots. And so here are your candidates. So looking at those, our number of first place votes. We've got A that had 14, B that had 4, C that had 11, and D that had 8. Notice that A does not have a majority. So that's no majority for A. And so if that's the case, then what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate the candidate with the fewest number of first place votes. Then we're going to look to see where those will go to. So if you go back to the people that voted for B, so the people that voted for B, the 4 first place votes, B is now eliminated. So we would go through this table, we would eliminate B from all of those. Now all of those that voted for B for first now are voting for D first. So that means that the 4 votes that B had are now going to move to D. So if you're looking at this point, what we'll have, A will still have 14, C will still have 11, but D will now have 8 plus 4 is 12 first place votes. So now we look again, still no majority for A. Okay, so that means we need to do some more eliminations. At this point, if you notice, the lowest is C. So what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate C. Now, for C, to show you where these votes move to, because it looks like they're moving to D, let me show you why. Going back to our preference schedule, we've just eliminated C. So C is gone here, C is gone here, and here, and here, and here. Which means now A still has the 14 votes here, but now D has the 10 votes here. It also has the 8 votes here, it also has 4 here, and it has 1 here. So notice that it still has the original 8 and 4 that it had before, but now it's picking up the extra 10 from here and the extra 1 from here that originally had gone to C. And so what that means is if we add those up, we now have that D has 23 votes. Now D actually has a majority. And so keep in mind a majority in this case, there were 37 total. So to have a majority, you would have to have 19 for majority, and D now does. So it looks like we now have our winner. And it's actually not Alicia, who is our winner for plurality, and it's not Boris, who is our winner for board account. It's actually Dave, who is our D. Okay, so some problems, because it seems like at first glance plurality with elimination seems like a pretty good method. The main problem is going to be illustrated in the next example that I'm going to give to you. So, we're going to talk about Olympics, and unfortunately there's not going to be Olympics this year, but we'll talk about kind of the decision process for where they're going to be hosted. So 3 cities, Athens, Barcelona, and Calgary, are competing to host the Olympic Games. Final decision is made by a secret vote of the 29 members of the Executive Council of the International Olympic Committee. And the winner is going to be chosen using the plurality with elimination method. 2 days before the actual election is to be held, a straw poll is conducted by the Executive Council just to see how things stand. The results of that straw poll are shown here. All right, so we've got the 3 cities. Based on this, it's looking like A is in the lead. So it looks like A with 11 votes is in the lead. However, there's no majority. So let's go through and let's use plurality with elimination to decide who's going to get to host the Olympics. So based on the results of the straw poll, after you go through and do a plurality with elimination, now why don't I go ahead and show that to you now. So plurality with elimination, B right now is our lowest number of first place, so that means B gets eliminated. So we're going to get rid of B in all of these. That means that A still has 11, but now C has 18. And so it looks like C is the winner because 18 is a majority in this case, and that's more than 11. So it looks like Calgary is going to win the election because in the first round, again, Athens had 11, Barcelona had 8, Calgary had 10. Once Barcelona is eliminated, they move all those 8 to Calgary, and so now Calgary wins the election. So, although the results of the straw poll are supposed to be a secret, the word gets out that it looks like Calgary is going to host the next Summer Olympics. And since everybody loves a winner, the 4 delegates that are represented by the last column decide as a block to switch their votes and vote for Calgary first and Athens second. Calgary is going to win, so there's no harm in that, right? Well, let's see. So, the results of the official vote are now going to be shown in the next table. So here are those results. So again, you had those 4 votes that moved and chose Calgary for first, Athens for second, and had Barcelona as last. So now, looking at these, 14 is not a majority just yet. And actually, even more interesting, the 7 votes for Athens are actually going to put Athens in last place. Means Athens is gone from our preference schedule, which means now Barcelona moves up to be 7 plus 8 is 15, and actually now Barcelona is going to be our winner, all because of those 4 votes that changed. So now when we apply that, Athens gets eliminated, like I mentioned. Our 7 votes that were originally going to Athens go now to Barcelona in the second round. And now Barcelona with 15 votes is our round winner and gets to host the next Summer Olympics. So how could this have happened? How could Calgary have lost an election that was winning in the straw poll just because it got additional first place votes, of all things, in the election? While you will never convince conspiracy theorists in Calgary that the election was not rigged, double-checking the figures makes it clear that everything is on the up and up. Calgary is just the simple victim of a quirk in our plurality with elimination method, which is the possibility that you can actually do worse by doing better, which sounds kind of weird to think about. So, some plurality with elimination method that gets used in real life, or instant runoff voting. The International Olympic Committee has used it to choose host cities. Since 2002, the city of San Francisco, California has used it. Burlington, Virginia since 2005. Berkeley, California is moving towards it. Ferndale, Michigan is moving towards it. And Australia actually is going to be using it to elect members of the House of Representatives. So kind of interesting if you want to see how that's been playing out in real life. That being said, guys, that's all I've got for you on 1.4. We've got one more video for notes this week. And then remember, next week I'll have one more video for you, 1.6. And then you've got a quiz next Wednesday. So that being said, see you next time.